Let's talk about the other one that made our eyes light up, and that is Texas 9.5. Ari, I see what they're doing here because they're looking at Texas having to go to Ohio State at the beginning of the season and saying, okay, we're going to reduce this by 1. We're going to reduce what we normally would have had by 1. Now, they've obviously got some tough games. They're at Ohio State. They're at Florida. The Oklahoma game, I would imagine, is going to be significantly tougher this year. They're at Georgia. A&M comes to them, but that game is always going to be tough. So I get it. But I feel like if you give me 2 games to play with this Texas team, like, do you think they'll go 1-2 between Ohio State, Florida, and Georgia? Do you think they'll go 1-2?
No.
Okay, then you should feel very comfortable with the over here because they could go 1-2 in that stretch and still hit the over.
I think that what you're looking at here is even if they lose to Ohio State and Georgia, because both of those games are on the road, and that sucks for them.
And the Florida game's on the road too.
That schedule, otherwise, they will be better than those teams. Now, we don't know what OU is going to be. I think that there's a chance that OU is much better than we're giving them credit for next year. Like if they fix their offense,
I think they're definitely going to be better than they were last year. And then the question is,
like
how good?
In the rivalry game. Like when we go to it again next year, like we walk in not knowing what's going to happen. Like last year, we know it's a banana game to begin with, but Ryan Mateer and improved offensive line and Deion Burks and being healthy, like Oklahoma, might be somebody that jumps out at us next year. But like I think Texas is going to win the national title. And I also think that because when I was doing the returning players list, Andy, the top 10 players returning to college next year, Texas had 2 on the list. And I think you can make the case for 4 or 5 players on their roster potentially. And like that doesn't even include CJ Baxter, who got injured last year.
Right. Yeah, they get all their running backs back essentially because that was they had horrific injury luck with the running backs.
Right. So I really, really like Texas next year. And I think they probably should be, if they didn't have Ohio State in the opener, but I think that they're going to beat Ohio State in the opener. Do you not? Like, I think that they're more with what
I don't even know who Ohio State's defensive coordinator is yet.
Yeah.
So not ready to make a prediction there. But no, I would have
think that. That's why I think that though. No,
I think that's a legitimate. I think everybody's thinking that. I think they're favored. I believe there's already a line on that game.
Yeah, Chris Vanini told me yesterday like what their podcast topic is today, and I'm going to steal it for a second.
Okay, go for
it's their whole show, but like, you know what? If they have a problem with it, then they can fight us. But
we started that show.
He and Ralph Russo.
We can extract attacks every once in a while.
Are drafting. We got to come up with draft stuff, Andy, because we don't draft ever. I want to draft against you. And maybe starting with food
let's throw it out to the chat right now.
Yeah.
Everybody, give us some ideas. It's the off season. We're going to have some fun, especially on Fridays. Little grab ass on Fridays. We're going to draft different topics.
Yeah. And we
were
going to draft food, but give us draftable
movies, music,
too.
Food.
But we could have a football show drafting. And they're drafting coaches most likely to win their first national title. Now that Ryan Day has his.
Okay.
And like Steve Sarkisian is unequivocally pick 1-1, right? Like there's no
Dan Lanning.
I still think that Steve Sarkisian's number 1.
I would agree with that. I think there will be people who pick Dan Lanning, and there will be people who pick Marcus Freeman, but I think I would go Sarkisian on that.
With what Texas has on its roster, you would be insane to draft anybody else. That's my personal
by the way, did the line I mentioned, FanDuel also has a line on.
Do you have the line for the Ohio State game?
Yeah.
Can
Ohio
I guess?
State by 3.5.
Oh!
Ohio State by 3.5.
Oh! I was going to guess, and I would have been wrong, so thank you for saving me the embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that Texas would be laying like 2.5 right now on the road.
I'm shocked by that. I got to be honest.
That's a line you might take right now.
Yeah. Yeah, get
And
in
just
on
lock
that
it in.
now, because
if you want to lock up your money for 9 months, go for it.
but seriously, let's talk about this. That game is going to be Texas by 3.5, 4 when it kicks off, right?
Do you think? I don't know.
I mean, what's going to change at Ohio State that changes your mind and my mind on this?
I don't know.
Unless we get reports that Julian Sayin is like the second coming of Joe Montana.
Well, that's the thing too. Like you are going to be taking a leap of faith going into that game about Ohio State, regardless of who.
Right, because their entire like
on.
Caleb Downs is great, but that whole defense is going to be they have 2 starters coming back. Igbenos is the other starter.
Yeah, you have to take a leap of faith that Ohio State is bad or good either way, no matter what side you're on. And when I say bad meaning like off to a slow start, because I think Ohio State's going to make the playoff and potentially win games in the postseason.
Yeah, now it's a new Texas offense too under a new quarterback, but we did see Arch Manning start games last year.
Ahead. They're ahead. Yeah. They're ahead on defense and offense.
This line perplexes me, Ari. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, if I could guess, that Texas was favored. So but also too, like, I think maybe, if you're going to do a gimmicky line in February, you also have to heavily weight where the game is located. But I don't want this to go unnoticed about Texas.
Huel. Got the Huel Black Edition right here. Complete meal in this bottle. 27 vitamins and minerals, 35 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber, everything you need, and you know exactly what you're getting when you drink a Huel. This is a meal in a bottle. You'll see some of those that come in a little cardboard box and they say, this is not replace a meal. This is not full nutrition. Well, Huel is, and when you need something, you're in a hurry. You got to bring lunch, but you don't have time to buy lunch or get lunch. Huel can go with you. You need breakfast? Huel can do it for you. The world's #1 complete nutrition. And right now, if you go to Huel.com, that's Huel.com, use the promo code Staples15, you get 15% off and a free gift. So that's Huel.com, Huel.com, promo code Staples15 for 15% off and a free gift. All right.
They played Ohio State really well.
They did.
In the playoff this year.
They did. They played that version of Ohio State really. Like, that's the reason I can't believe this line is what it is and this win total is what it is. Because Texas brings back a lot more than Ohio State does, and those teams were not that far off.
Yeah.
Like, and if Texas punches that ball in on the goal line, it's a 21-21 game with 2 minutes to play.
And also, too, we don't know what Ohio State's going to be. They have the two. We know they have the 2 best players in college football.
Right. We know Jeremiah Smith is going to make their offense very good.
and I think that is a bailout for whoever plays quarterback next year. And like I think that the assumption is Julian Sayin, but they also have a 5-star freshman on their roster in Tavian St. Clair. And if you want to play the Alabama Keelan Russell game, like Ohio State has a very talented big kid from Ohio coming in and is on the team and was at the national title game.
And we shouldn't assume that the true freshmen won't be able to play, because true freshmen do come in and play now.
And now with Ryan Day's equity too, like if he thinks that his ceiling is higher, like you can come into that game with a true freshman quarterback, lose, and no one's going to want you to get out of town. So I don't know. I don't know how much you buy into that, like coaches' decisions on personnel being impacted by where they are in the sphere.
I think if you're Ryan Day, you can experiment some.
Right. Like if they lose that game, it's going to be a big game, and I'm assuming that we're probably going to go to it. But if Ohio State loses the game 28-20 or whatever, like it's just a game that happened in the 12-team era, and like nothing changes, and it gives your young quarterback who hasn't started yet a taste of a team that's probably going to go on deep into the playoff, and then you get to go traverse your schedule with that experience. Like I think that you could make the case that no matter who their quarterback is, that Texas has the quarterback advantage going into the game. And I actually like really resent anybody who just thinks that like, oh, Arch, the only thing that we know about Arch is his last name. It's like I think we know more than that. Like, is that like I feel like if Arch Manning didn't have his name, he would have been impressive enough in his time already playing to people to get some respect of like, yeah, he's going to be good. I almost think that his name is working against him now.
Probably, because people look at the name and not the skill set. I think the skill set's pretty impressive.
Remove his name.
You were the one saying he should have been starting all along. We'll see if that's true or not.
Remove his name from the equation. You can still assign him his 5-star status, but given his ranking and given his performance in the limited action that he's had, have we not seen enough to know that he's going to operate this offense quite well? Like the Arch Manning doubt, I think, is bizarre, and maybe that's just doubt because of his name. But like he's going to be good. Like it's not like he's not going to be good. And here's the other thing: you don't have to be Peyton or Eli Manning to look good with the players around you. Like even if he's a 7 out of 10 quarterback,
let me put it this way:
he's still
if he's
put up
Quinn
numbers.
Ewers,
yeah.
They're going to win this game.
Even if he's not the most generational player that we've ever seen, they're going to win a lot, and he's going to do really well.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
I just like this thought process of like him being a liability is like so stupid to me. It bothers me. It's wrong.
Well, if it bothers you though, throw some shekels on over and may as well get those plus 3.5 while you can.
Shekels on them to win the title.
Oh yeah. Actually, let's look at national championship odds. Now Texas is
6 or 7 to 1, right?
They're plus 650. Ohio State's plus 600. Plus 600 is the lowest odds. So it is.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of clustered in there. Like Oregon's plus 650, Georgia's plus 700, Penn State's plus 800. So,
look at your bracket, Andy. River, throw up mine if you have it. I don't know if he has it. If he doesn't, it's okay.
I have Texas winning the national title, beating Notre Dame for the national title.
I have Texas winning the national title, and in mine, Ohio State's on the other side of the bracket and is playing Texas in the national title game.
There you go.
So, yeah, it's okay if he doesn't have it. Go ahead.
Dave's here. You wouldn't know who Arch was without his name. Yes, we would.
Yes, we would. What are you talking about?
Because he started 2 games for Texas last year.
And he was a 5-star player. Like, what are you talking about? We know who the 5 stars who haven't played are yet.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when people say that, they're like upset that he's a Manning.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I don't know.
We're talking about Julian Sayon right now. We know who he is. He hasn't played.